What is up? What is good, guys? It's Chris back with Houseplant Therapy. Today, I want to talk about watering your houseplants with distilled water. This is kind of a touchy topic in the hobby, distilled water. This one is a weird one for me because I come from a fish aquarium background. I have another YouTube channel called Palmer Aquatics with 60,000 subscribers. I have hundreds of educational videos on water parameters, fish tanks, just like everything. So I want to do a deep dive on this because this one fascinates me a little bit. So watering your houseplants with distilled water has kind of become a big trend, and it's sort of weird to me because if you think about it, distilled water is essentially water that has been turned into a vapor and then turned back into water. And it has been stripped of chemicals and all elements. It has absolutely zero, nothing, nada in it. And why houseplant keepers like it is because the idea of tap water scares them. Because tap water, aka city water, has a couple scary things in it for our houseplants. Number one is chlorine. Number two is fluoride, and number three is chloramines. And let's kind of talk about these. Chlorine, they've done a lot of tests showing that most houseplants are pretty susceptible or like open to chlorine, and it's not a huge deal. Signs that your plant hates chlorine is maybe like the leaf tips turn brown and kind of like that's literally about it. Or maybe like but yeah, fluoride, we all know some plants like the spider plant hates fluoride. The tips start to turn brown. And then chloramines. Chloramines are put in tap water to kind of like help kill certain things in water, like giardia and stuff like that from starting. And in the houseplant scene, people say that it kind of like it stops soil from building certain like anaerobic bacteria that are really actually helpful. But here's the thing. So what everyone is doing, everyone is kind of following suit, and they're going to the grocery store and they're getting themselves some distilled water, which has absolutely nothing in it. And then you bring back home your water that has nothing in it, and you have to go out and buy an additive to put the nutrients back into the water. A really popular product is called CalMag, and essentially it's calcium and magnesium. And what's ironic is our tap water had a lot of that in it before we stripped it to go to the distillation process. So this is kind of a head scratcher for me. When people ask me what's the best water to feed their houseplants, obviously rainwater is number one, but number two is going to be well water, and number three is tap water for me, just because there's so many elements that are in tap water. A trick that you can do with tap water is you can just lay out the water for 24 hours and the chlorine gases right off. So you don't have to worry about chlorine anymore. Or you could use just aquarium dechlorinator. It's that simple. By the way, in the house here, we use a lot of, all of our water comes from fish tanks because the house is filled with fish tanks. So why wouldn't we just use that? But if you think about it, the water in the fish tanks is regular tap water, city water, that we just dechlorinated, and then it ages in the tank, and then all the fish do is essentially just kind of like add nitrates to it, which plants love. But you could add nitrates, liquid nitrates to water, aka liquid fertilization. It's that simple. So I feel like the hobby is kind of overcomplicating the whole distilled water thing. Whereas I feel like tap water, if we were to just do a little bit of experimentation and test with your houseplants if tap water works, that's going to be my advice to you. Test it slowly. The first signs that you're going to see of tap water not working with houseplants is the leaves are going to turn brown, the tips, leaves might turn yellow, and some people have claimed that that there's things in tap water that that the houseplant leaves push out. You know, some people claim that there's salts in the tap water, or else it's just sediment. You know, because a lot of people that water with terracottas, they're like, hey man, I can see the tap water like residue on the terracotta. But in the same fashion, that's just sediment. That is elements, nutrients, calcium, iron, magnesium. Those are the elements that our houseplants need. So it's just like, it's a bit ironic to me. So when people ask me, Do I use distilled water for my houseplants? The answer is a simple no. Not a chance. We are not doing that. And we have a bunch of different like sensitive plants. You know, we have like 60 different types of plants in the house right now. But I don't know, guys. I just kind of went down a wormhole because I'm kind of passionate about water parameters. Just because you know, we have a house full of fish tanks, and I know water parameters very well when it comes to fish tanks. Check out this entertainment center. This is pretty cool, right? I love this build. Guys, you gotta subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. I dork out with this stuff, and houseplants and fish aquatics are like my life. So let me know in the comment section if you've been researching watering houseplants with distilled water. I wanna hear from you. Hopefully this video helped you. Just kind of like wondering if distilled water is the best option to be watering your houseplants with. Without further ado, guys, I love you. Hit up the comments, like the video.